message affirmation this morning is I see the light in all things. And this is a very, very valuable affirmation, a thought process to go around with. And as I was thinking further about that this morning, I should have probably narrowed it down to I see the light in all. Because today I want to talk about seeing the light in other people. I know that we've all been in a very challenging circumstance or situation where people aren't very nice, or it's very difficult to see the light in them because they just seem to exude such badness or evilness. And we talk a lot in New Thought about, eliminating or not having people in our lives who are that way or who are bad. But the reality is sometimes it's unavoidable. I mean, we have a relative, an in-law, a coworker, a boss. There's, always going to be some circumstance or situation where you don't have the option to eject a person who isn't, your particularly favorite person out of your life. So then the challenge is to look beneath that surface and find the light in all people. We read a lot about, people who do have a very bad negative disposition, that all of that emanates from something. They possibly had some really bad experience in their childhood or a bad relationship, a bad breakup, and they're walking around with all this and they just spew it out onto everyone else because it somehow makes them feel better to do that. So sometimes scratching beneath and looking, because I've found even the worst people in life, they have some little spark of light in them. And so if you can see and just focus on that, that's going to make your relationship with that person so much better. And also, we know that in New Thought, we talk a lot about the law of attraction. We attract what we put out there. We get back what we give. And so by being this loving, strong, giving person, by seeing this light and not necessarily every time you encounter this person who is a challenge or who you have trouble seeing the light in that darkness without giving them the benefit of seeking out, even that one little pinhole of light, certainly you're doing yourself no favor because you're allowing that darkness to come in and darken and even overshadow your own light. So it's very important in every circumstance, in every situation, to see the light in all things. This can happen not only with people that we know and interact with on a daily basis, but just this morning when I was driving to church, the light turned green and I was going forward, and for some reason the person in front of me thought it would be okay to turn left. And I just, luckily I wasn't going that fast, so, there was no collision or anything. It wasn't the end of the world, and I just shrugged. But the fellow behind me, luckily I couldn't hear him because I'm sure I would have been embarrassed by what he was saying, but, I could see all his flurry of hand activity and mouth going, and, he almost, drove into me. He was so upset about it. I just shrugged and, see the light. At least that guy's getting where he needs to go a little bit sooner. Hopefully he doesn't do that in front of somebody else and get hit. But we all have these circumstances and situations, and it can be something as simple as, people not behaving appropriately in traffic, or, one of my favorite analogies, and I guess it happens to me a lot, and I'm so oblivious to it, it doesn't bother me anymore, but, the people who cut in front of you at the supermarket, or the person who gets in the express lane with 30 items. In all these circumstances and situations, it's good to see the light. I mean, maybe this is a harried, a really overworked, overbusy mother who needs to get home to her kids, or, a father who needs to, go and handle a situation, or there's a myriad of possibilities. So rather than just assuming, that person is such a jerk because they can't wait, 2 minutes, which is where a lot of times our mind might first go, it's good to stand back and realize, and as you see that light in other people, you exude the light from yourself. As much as we talk about how that benefits the other person by seeing the light in them, the reality is that it benefits us as well. And it's not that we only do things in life for other people because it's going to benefit us, but that just is a really wonderful thing about the law of attraction. It just works out that way. So you don't necessarily start out being this, greedy person thinking, I'm only going to do that because I get something back. It's just the law of attraction. It happens naturally. So in every circumstance and situation, when you come upon a person that, gosh, I just can't see the light because of some, initial first impression, or because it's something that happens day in and day out when you work with them or you live next door to them, or there's some situation where it's hard to see them in that light. You know what? Take those extra few minutes and stop and look and try to see the light in them. Last weekend was the Memorial Day weekend, and somebody had invited me to go to a barbecue party on the Saturday. And I usually don't go on Saturdays because I have the Sunday obligation. But sometimes I think to myself, you'd better go sometimes, or you're never going to get any more of your friends to come here because they're going to think, what an awful place. You can never do anything. I may as well join a monastery. So I like to, occasionally go out and do something on Saturday so people see that, our faith isn't so horrible that we never get to have any fun. And so I did. And, there was... At events, when you have gatherings, there are people who can be a little challenging, especially if they, visit the bar too many times, and they become more and more challenging. And, we've all probably seen that circumstance. And, it was a real challenge. There was a particular person there who I didn't know at all before this, who was very challenging. And the group of friends that I was with, were becoming more and more annoyed, and were getting to the point of, wanting to say back some things to them. And so it was interesting to stop, because a few of them have been to church a few times. And so, I was able to sort of bring them back around to our New Thought way of thinking, and, seeing this person in the light. And it turned out that letting a few of the unkind things that person said pass, and then responding only with kindness, turn that person completely around. And then the situation was diffused. So, a lot of times when somebody says something to us out of anger or upset, or just because maybe that's their initial, way to deal with meeting new people is, instant defense mechanism. If we ourselves put forth that kindness, we see that light in them, we project that light, then, of course, we can see that light back. And, it's not going to happen every time. There are some people who are just going to be difficult. And I'm sure we've all met one or two of those in our lives. But the reality is there's some shred of light in them. So we need to, as New Thought students, stop, look back, and see the light. See the light in that person, because the more that we see that light, the more we become a light. And that's just the natural law of attraction. So to become a light, see the light in every circumstance, in every situation. So as you're going through the week, ask yourself this question: do I see the good in all things? And there are really bad things in life, bad things happen. It's kind of inevitable. There's not a lot that you can do about it. But by looking and seeing the good in it, look for the good, look for the light in every circumstance, in every situation, look for the light, then you yourself become a light. And so then we perpetuate this whole wonderful experience of being New Thought students. And the good news is that we can see the light in all situations. By seeing the light, we take ourselves to a lighter, brighter place, and we have greater lives ourselves. Every day, in every circumstance, in every situation, see the light and be the light. See the light and be the light in every circumstance and every situation. And this is how we grow and grow as New Thought students, and we get to this experience. We get to be the most Christ-like, and we have these lives of great happiness, great health, and great prosperity in every circumstance and every situation.